Welcome back to another explainer. Look, if you've ever felt totally overwhelmed by the sheer noise of modern life, and honestly, who hasn't, and just wish there was some sort of practical manual for finding everyday peace, well, you're in luck. Today, we're unpacking the core teachings of an ancient text called the Dhammapada. It's a profound journey, and it's one that begins entirely inside your own mind. Okay, so let's dive into this. We've got a four-part journey ahead of us today. First, we'll officially meet the Dhammapada. Then, we'll talk about mastering your own mind, navigating life's reality, and finally, reaching ultimate freedom. All right, part one, meet the Dhammapada, the ancient life hack. Now, you might know the Dhammapada as a famous collection of the Buddha's teachings, but here's the thing. You absolutely do not need to be a Buddhist to get something massive out of this. It's incredibly accessible to anyone, largely because of this number right here, 423. It's made up of exactly 423 short, bite-sized verses. So we're not talking about some dense, impossible-to-read philosophical textbook. You can literally just take one verse a day, read it over your morning coffee, and actually apply it to your life. Because at the end of the day, the core purpose of these teachings boils down to one simple thing. It's practical advice for a happy, peaceful, and wise life. Think of it as a user manual for living well. It tackles those very real, messy human struggles we all deal with, handling our anger, acting ethically, and figuring out how to actually hold on to a sense of everyday peace when the world around us is just acting totally chaotic. Moving on to part two, mastering your own mind, or as I like to think of it, taming the inner horse. See, before you can change how you interact with the world, you really have to figure out your own mind. The text lays out the absolute most important thing right from the jump. Just listen to this. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. I mean, wow, that is such a profound statement. It's telling us that our entire experience of reality, our happiness, our sadness, our whole identity, none of that starts out there in the world. It begins internally. Your mind is quite literally the architect of your entire life. And because your thoughts are busy creating your reality, the outcomes are pretty stark. A calm, good mind directly brings you happiness, while an angry, greedy mind, that's just a one-way ticket to suffering. And the source actually gives us this highly specific, brilliant visual for dealing with this. You've got to train your mind like you train a horse. Think about it. A wild, untrained horse is going to drag you everywhere, right? But a well-trained horse, that's going to take you exactly where you want to go. You have to take the reins. So how exactly do you train that wild horse? Well, the tool for that is mindfulness. Living with mindfulness is how you secure that calm mind. It's about paying super close attention to the present moment. Not obsessing over what happened yesterday, not freaking out about tomorrow, but being acutely aware of your thoughts, your words, and your actions right now. Why is this absolutely crucial? Because this awareness is exactly what keeps you from making mistakes. It breaks those stubborn bad habits, and ultimately, it's what gives you that deep inner peace. All right, part three, navigating life's reality. Let's look at the rules of the game. So now that we've grabbed the reins of our own minds, we need to look outward at how we interact with the external world. And you simply can't navigate reality in this framework without understanding karma. Now, we hear this word thrown around all the time, right? But let's actually demystify it based on the source. Karma is just cause and effect. That's it. It's the universal principle that your actions have results. It's not some mystical cosmic point system keeping score. It's just the sheer reality that whatever you choose to do is always going to carry consequences. The mechanics here are pretty straightforward. Good actions bring good results, even if those results take a while to show up. On the flip side, bad actions bring bad results. Therefore, doing good is the foundation of a good life. But what does that actually look like? Well, it means doing no harm to others. It means consciously choosing to speak kindly, act kindly, and think kindly. This isn't just about being polite for the sake of it. It's about actively building a really positive chain of cause and effect in your own life. Now, you might be wondering, what's the catch? Well, it brings us to a crucial point, impermanence. Reality is fluid. Everything changes. People change, objects break, feelings fade away. The teachings here warn us that if you cling too tightly to these temporary things, whether it's a person, an object, or an emotion, you are literally guaranteeing your own suffering. Why? Because you're trying to fight the basic, changing nature of reality. The only real solution here is to learn to let go. We have to appreciate things fully while we have them, without suffocating them with our attachment. And this brilliantly illustrates how we should actually be living day to day. It's called the middle way. You want to avoid extreme luxury because all the wealth and superficial pleasure in the world doesn't actually buy true happiness. But at the same time, you avoid extreme hardship and punishing yourself. The real sweet spot, the absolute best way to navigate reality, is right there in the middle. It's a beautifully balanced, simple life. Which brings us to our final phase, part 4, reaching ultimate freedom, wisdom, compassion, and nirvana. At this highest level, life is governed by deep wisdom and compassion. The text is incredibly clear on this point. True happiness does not come from chasing a fatter paycheck or fleeting physical pleasures. It just doesn't. It comes from a really deep understanding of life. And crucially, it comes from how we treat other people. We are urged to love and help others purely for the sake of helping, completely selflessly, expecting absolutely nothing in return. And this idea is powerfully underscored by one of the most incredibly famous verses in the entire text. Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. Just think about how relevant that is today. I mean, fighting fire with fire really just burns the whole house down, right? This verse highlights the absolute, undeniable necessity of compassion in action. It's the only practical way to break the endless cycle of suffering and anger. But it's not just about what we feel inside. It's also about how we express it to the world. Get this. Better than 1,000 useless words is one useful word that brings peace. In a world where we are just constantly bombarded by noise, hot takes, and empty chatter on our feeds, this verse is a total game changer. It shows the profound value of peaceful, useful action over 1,000,000 useless words. Speak with intention, or honestly, just enjoy the peace of silence. Now, please do not forget this vital piece of the puzzle because it's so easy to overlook. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. See, compassion can't just be this outward-facing thing. It has to be applied inward, too. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to extend that same grace, that same forgiveness, and that exact same love right back to yourself. By following all these teachings, by getting a grip on your wild mind, doing good, understanding that everything changes, and living with deep compassion, you are walking the path toward the ultimate destination, which is nirvana. Now, nirvana isn't some geographical place you travel to. It's a state of being. It is the total absolute freedom from negative states. We're talking freedom from greed, from hatred, from ignorance. It is, quite simply, the ultimate end of suffering. Wow, okay. We've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? From training your mind like a wild horse to finally letting go of the things that cause us so much pain. So before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to turn this ancient wisdom directly onto your own life today. Just take a deep breath, look at your life, and ask yourself honestly, what are you clinging to right now? And what would happen if you just let it go?